So how's it going, YouTube? Welcome back to another video episode of Previously in DBS, where today I'm joined by the new sensation, BigONotation. Say hello, Ollie.
Hello. How's it going, everyone? Hope everything's good.
So we're going to go over, as usual, with the current releases for all the news for this week, and this time covering the reveals from the last set, often this last week for the black stuff, the secret rares as we've got on this weekend, and also going over a bit about the CardMarket event that happened yesterday. So jump into it, start off with the Supreme Kai. So we got the Supreme Kai leader. Do you want to take this one, Ollie, or do you want me to take this?
You can go for it.
Alright, I'll go for it. So we got on the front side, we got the auto of Bursting Fury. So when it attacks, you draw one, and then a nice awakening of if you like 4 or less, or you got 8 warped. You can draw 2 cards, take life until you have 6, and then flip it over. So a nice way to awaken without going down to 4 life. You've got an alternative awakening, which is nice, and it's easy to fulfill that 8 or more warp, because one, you're bursting free from your attack, and also it's an overwhelm deck, so you've got easy way. And also there's a super combo from back in set 4, I think it is, where if you've got 5 in your warp, it's live. So that's a decent one, but then it's not a straight up 10k like I think we're getting one in this set. And then on its awakened side, we've got a ton of text. First of all, the auto of once per turn, when you play a battle card using Overwhelm, you draw a card, and then place up the 3 black battle cards from your warp to your drop, so that's a bit of draw power there. And then also you get more from doing an Overwhelm if you want. Then the first activate main of once per turn for 1 black, drop a card from your hand. And if you don't have a Unison in hand, you play the Unison to its right, which is the Demigra, so a 9k Unison that has no specified cost. From either you drop or your warps. So what you want to do with this is warp it off of something or mill it to get it out easily. And then you got the last activate main, which is the kicker, being once per turn, you crit a life, and then you place up to 2 black battle cards from your warp in your drop area, which is easy because it's a black deck. And then that turn, if you play any Overwhelm, it's not sent to warp at the end of the turn. So any Overwhelm sticks as if it was Dark Overwhelm. And the last one in the slide we got is the Unison for the deck, which the leader can play, is Demigra, Momentary Ally. It's got 3 effects. First one being the best one is the auto of once per turn by bursting 1. If your leader card is a black Saiyan only or a God only card, you get over when you play a card using Overwhelm, it gains Wormhole. And if you don't know what Wormhole means, it's a keyword skill from back during set 4 on Demigra, where if you can Overwhelm twice. You can Overwhelm and or Dark Overwhelm twice per turn. Then it's got 2 skills, +1, which is place 2 black battle cards from your warp to your drop, standard for black deck, so 1 Overwhelm, and the -3 being add up to 2 black battle cards with energy costs of 7 or less with Overwhelm from your warp to your hand, so round back 2. Now, what would you say about this slot, Ollie?
Altogether, these 2 cards just seem very strong. The fact that you can recycle your Unisons even if it dies to opponent attacks is really strong, especially for black, because black doesn't really have the kind of free counterplay and counter-attack cards that all of the other colours got back in set 10. It doesn't have Dormant Potential or the Freezer counterplay, doesn't really have an equivalent to those. So I feel like black really struggled to protect its Unisons early on, but this leader, the fact that you can recycle the Unison over and over is really strong. And just being able to always set up your drop to utilise the Wormhole effect is really strong as well, because every time you use your first Overwhelm skill for the turn, your leader effect and your Unison combined will put 4 more cards in the drop area for you to use the second effect of the Wormhole.
Yeah, and then all you need to do is, because a lot of the Unisons, I think, the Overwhelm for this leader in the set are 6 and stuff, but you also got a few others that we're going to go over. So you're easy enough setting up to make sure you can definitely Overwhelm. And
and then also with the +1 on your Demigra, you get to 6 in drop, which is, like you said, for the Overwhelm 6.
Yeah, so literally, if you so with the some we're gonna go over even old ones, you got the brainwashing and more and things like that. You can easily set up yourself for an easy big overwhelm every twice a turn every turn, and creating a life if you can fulfill the leader's alternative win condition, or awaken not win condition. You can easily have enough life to do that every turn until you win.
Yeah.
And it's nice that it's restricted as well to a God only or Saiyan only. So Saiyan only means it can't be used with Vegex, and God only means it can't be used with Demagra. So Demagra's basically been massively power crept by this. This is the new Demagra.
Yeah, pretty much. And I really like how flexible it is, because just looking at these two cards, you can kind of play it more aggressive with using the leader's effect to crit a life every turn to keep your board, or you can play it a lot more defensive with some of the other cards for the archetype as well, and just gaining a bunch of value over time.
Yeah, because there are quite a few overwhelms that if they do stick on board, they are actually beneficial.
Yeah. So
it's nice to see that overwhelm's getting like a decent amount of support, because we haven't seen a good overwhelm deck for a while.
Yeah, not since Tellide, I think.
No, yeah, that was a good few sets away, metas away, like at least over a year. But now getting on to the rest of the Supreme Kai support, we've got the first lot of Trunks, Goten, and Gotenks. Still take this one, Ollie?
Yeah, sure. So the Trunks and the Sun Goten are pretty similar in that they're both 2-drop 10Ks, and the only real difference between them is that one has double strike and one has critical. So they're both Overwhelm 2, which is really easy to fulfill because you get the leader burst 3 effect whenever you attack. And they both have the same auto of, if your leader is a black Supreme Kai of Time card, then when it's played with Overwhelm, you send up to 2 cards from the top of your deck to the warp and then draw a card. These are both really amazing just for early aggression and for setting up your leader's awaken, because you want to get to 8 cards in warp. And also the fact that they replace themselves in that hand is just amazing as well. And then the Gotenks is a unique dual attack, Overwhelm 6 for 2 black, and then Xeno Evolve for 1 black, of a black Gotenks Xeno with an energy cost of 3. And so when it's removed from the battle area by an opponent's skill, you get to play up to 1 black Sun Goten Xeno card and up to 1 black Trunks Xeno card with an energy cost of 3 or less, and the Overwhelm skill from your drop area or warp. And it also has an activate battle of 1 specified black, which is it gains plus 10k power and double strike for the battle.
And that's not once per turn either. So if it stays on the board, if you've got enough energy and you're going for the kill turn, you can spam that as many times as you want in the battle and gain that massive. You won't get double strike multiple times, but you'll gain that 10k multiple times.
Yeah, and the fact that you can use it because it has dual attack, you can use it on each of your attacks as well.
Yeah. So like if you drop that in 1 turn using Xeno Evolve, you can do it with free energy, get 2 35k double strike swings, or if you do an Overwhelm with it on 4 energy, you do the same thing. And it's easy to keep this. So if this card survives after you drop it, which it will stay on board with the if you Overwhelm it with the Kai leader, then they've got to watch out because they're going to take a ton of damage if they can't stop the attacks.
Yeah.
And then we've got the other 2 Trunks Goten Gotenks, which are the more support than they are the Overwhelm. So we got the first one, the Trunks. They're both fusion. They're all the fusion renewed trio. So you got the Trunks, which is a blocker. So they're both 10k as well. So either Trunks and either Gotenks can be used for. Well, I don't think they've even got Union Fusion, so that's not relevant. But we've got the Trunks is probably now the first free counterplay the black has, because as a counterplay, you send 2 cards from your drop area to your warp, the play itself as a counterplay. But it's got a permanent of if you have a battle card with Overwhelm skill in play, you can activate this card's counter skill without paying its costs. So that is the closest black's got to a free counterplay. But it doesn't do anything, it just plays itself as a blocker. But then it does have an additional effect of the auto for 1 energy, it can gain revenge for the turn. So that's quite handy. And then we've got the Goten, which it's got the Overwhelm skill, so Overwhelm 2. And it's got the activated main of if your leader card is a black Supreme Kai of Time, and you discard it from your hand, you can look at the 7 cards at the top of your deck and add up to 1 black battle card with an entry cost of 2 or less and the Overwhelm skill, or up to 1 black unison card with 9,000 power and no specified cost among them to your hand and shuffle your deck, and you can't activate the activate main skill 1 copies of this card for the turn. So that's a good way to search for unison or Trunks or Goten really, or basically just some overarm. And the last one, the Gotenks, is a blocker and has a counter attack, so it's we've got like a never negate for black, which you send 3 cards when you drop area 2 warp, so you got warp cards when you drop rather than return them, which is an odd one, but it's a good way to help your leader self-awaken, just similar to the other 2 Trunks and Goten. And with a permanent, if you have a battle card with energy cost of 6 in play, and it's your opponent's turn, you reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1. So this can be used in Dark Broly, which is interesting, because they play a lot of 6 drops, and it doesn't specify if it's black or anything, so it could be used with any deck. And then it's got an auto of when this card attacks, place up the 3 black battle cards from your warp to your drop, and then choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 3 or less, and send it in his warp. So it's removal and a way to get back battle cards to drop for overarm. These look pretty good. It's a nice energy, nice synergy with the deck.
I always love cards like this Sun Goten where you can just discard it and search the top 7, or like the Oceana Shenron in Sinchenron. Like those are some of my favorite cards just because they're so flexible.
Yeah, the Oceanus is probably one of the best things we've got for Sinchenron since it came out in set 10. Adding that kind of consistency to a deck is just amazing.
And I'm pretty sure that this is the only Gotenks Xeno that we have at the moment, so this is going to be the only target for the 6-drop to evolve over, I think.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's the first one we've seen ever, I think, for black, because before that it was Gotenks and not Gotenks. So it's nice we're getting... And I think there's also Gotenks and Trunks for Xeno, but yeah, I think this is the first Gotenks we've seen. But it's really nice. Is more support for Black Broly, Dark Broly, which doesn't need it. So
yeah,
getting that one.
I think it's just good to give Black some more defensive options, because I feel like that's something they've really struggled with for a long time.
Yeah, because that's the one thing that hinders Black from the other colours, is the other colours get those free counter plays and free counter attacks, where Black kind of doesn't get that. Like, it has Power Burst, but Power Burst isn't great in all Black decks.
Yeah, Black just relied so much on Power Burst and occasionally Protector of the People for defensive stuff.
Yeah, well, now it's getting some nice support. That is also generic as well for any deck, really, with this. And then we got the last of the Supreme Kai support in the overall with this Goku Vegeta and Bardock. Do you take this one?
Yeah, sure. So the Goku is a blocker and overarm 6 for 1 specified black. And it has an auto of when this card attacks, you draw a card, and then at the end of the turn, switch this card to active mode. The first thing I'm noticing with this card is that it's 30k as well as the other 2 cards. So already thinking Dark Broly could be a potential candidate for these cards to slot into.
Yeah.
But for this specific Goku, I think it's probably not going to make it, because it's the fact that it has the blocker tag is going to mean that it's built for the Kai deck, because you want it to stick around for multiple turns.
Yeah.
With the Vegeta, it is a critical and then overarm 6 for 1 unspecified cost, and then an auto of when it attacks, you get to choose any number of your opponent's battle cards that add up to a total cost of 4 or less and send them to their owner's warps. And then this 7-cost Bardock, he's a 30k double striker, and he has an auto. Once per turn, you add a card from your life to your hand, and then when your opponent activates a counter-attack skill on an extra card, you can negate that skill, and then it says this skill can be activated at counter timing, so it just completely stops the negate. An activate main of 4 specified black, so quite expensive, and if you have 15 or more black cards in your warp, you get to just play it from your hand. And then an activate main once per turn. If your life is at 1, you switch this card to active mode. They all seem pretty strong, and just giving you access to multiple different things. Like the Vegeta is removal, the Goku is defensive and draw power, and then the Bardock is like a nice finisher.
Yeah, the Bardock's a very strong one. Being able to be probably be recyclable, and just gives it's more for black overwhelm decks really to give like that support to. It feels like anyway, give that support to be able to finish with a big one, and then it's nice that it has that it states that skill can be used during counter timing for its kind of counter that isn't a counter.
Yeah. Something else that I think is pretty important about especially the Goku and Vegetas is that they're Vegeta Xeno and Son Goku Xeno, so they could potentially be used in the Gogeta Xeno deck.
Yeah, I've already thought about putting this Vegeta in the Gogeta Xeno deck, because that way you've got another good overwhelm 6 that's actually strong because it's removal for at least up to 4, so it hits tokens as well because it says add up to a total energy cost of 4 or less, so it can hit tokens as well. And just having that 30k crit that gives you support a removal is really nice. And if you play one copy of this and one copy of the SS4 from the TP pack of set 11, then if you get them both in warp, they're then viable targets for the Union fusions as well, which is a nice thing.
Yeah, because they're both 30k on there.
Yeah, the other one's 30k as well. And if you've got the Goku can grab the Vegeta, so you can turn one turn and use the Gogeta. Then if the game's still going on, and you could grab that the Vegeta and then drop that as well. And just having removal for the deck as well is quite handy, because Dark Power Black Mass Saiyan does hurt, and you can't always have the blocker Gogeta to remove it, as I've found out quite a few times. Yeah, the Bardock is looking strong, but then a lot of times when you get the 4 energy, there's sometimes stronger plays.
Yeah.
The counter is more. It seems more like blue hate again, like black getting more blue hate.
Yeah. Although I suppose for an overwhelm deck, a lot of the stronger plays will cost 0 or 1 energy, because they'll be like overwhelm cards.
Yeah, like most of the time you will probably be overwhelm for free, and then keeping it around as well. But imagine with the crit in a life, and you can easily manage getting yourself down to 1 life and surviving. So when you do drop it, you are getting 2 swings of it as well.
Yeah.
But that's all for the Supreme card deck. It's looking pretty strong, so looking pretty interesting. You going to give it a try when it comes out, or are you interested in
Yeah, definitely. I think the main decks I'm going to be interested in for set 13 are both of the black decks, and then probably King Cold as well.
Yeah, they look pretty interesting. Speaking of the Ever Black deck, we've got the next one, Mecha Kabura. So this is going to be this is the first wish leader we've had in a while now, and it's different to the rest of the wish leaders. So it's got the permanent of you can include up to 7 Dark Dragon Balls in your deck, and then an auto of when it attacks, you add up to 2 Dark Dragon Ball cards from your deck and or life to your hand and shuffle any areas you look through using this skill. So that's really nice to be able to check your life, which is one of the benefits of Wish decks, is allowing you to check your life to see what's in there. So like if you're digging for a secret rare, which all secret rares have the ultimate tag, you can only have 1, you can see if it's in your life or not, so you know if you need to dig it through your life to get it, or if it's in your deck to draw it. And then it's got the Wish tag, not Awaken, where when you have 7 Dark Dragon Balls, typical like Wish, but instead of Dragon Ball, Dark Dragon Balls, from your drop area, you draw 1, untap 1, and then your opponent warps 1 battle card from the drop area, and then you flip it over. So that's nice that you get that mid-range kind of awakening of 1, because with the awakening, the defensive ones are like draw 2, and the aggressive ones are the untap 2, and then this is the nice in-between one. But having that benefit of warping from the battle area, the drop area as well, is nice for decks that is going to be horrible for decks that rely on the drop. And then on his awakened side is a 15k with an auto and activate main. The auto will be in the standard when it attacks, you draw 1. And then the activate main, which once per turn, is an option of 2 strong effects. So first off, you need to make sure that all your energy is black. Then you need to bottom deck a card from your hand to trigger this effect. Then you can either choose one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 4 or less, negate its skills for the game, switch it to active mode and gain control of it. So it doesn't get through barrier, but still taking one of your opponent's battle cards that are 4 or less and gain control of it. If they've got something that's annoying you, or something that's 20k, a beat stick or something like that, snatch that up. And then you got the other one, its ultimate, which doesn't flip it over, which is what was the bane of Wish decks, using their ultimate and then failing to kill and then flipping over, is you remove all 7 Dark Dragon Balls from your drop from the game, and then this card gives triple attack. It's pretty busted. Note that the auto isn't once per turn as well, so all 3 attacks should be a drawing a card. So while you are plussing on this, you only +2 because you've got to put a card from your hand back to the bottom of your deck to gain that skill. And then the second unison in the set, which is tailored to the deck, is Black Smoke Dragon Offering of Destruction. So it's a rejuvenate unison, and probably the first good one for black. And it's kind of locked. It's not locked to anything. It's 15k, which is rare for a good black unison. But you need it's specified to black as well, so you can't chuck it in any deck. You need a black leader if you want to use Rejuvenate, and it costs 4 markers. It's got a permanent Vicat attack like most Shenron cards, and then it's got 2 effects: the Activate Main, which isn't the marker skill, giving it which basically add a marker. Then the -1, which is your opponent sends one battle card from the drop to the Womp. You can place up to 2 Dark Dragon Balls from your deck in your drop area and then draw a card. That just sounds really good, and I think there is a way to rejuvenate turn 1 as well. There is I think it's you play this card from your hand onto the board to get 1 marker. You use the Activate Main, the +1. You put another copy under it, and I think coming up there's another black also Shenron card that you can put under it to gain a marker. So turn 1 you can rejuvenate to 9 life if you wanted to. Not that anybody's ever going to want to do that, but it's an option. But these look actually pretty strong, and I know there is with the there's that old Shenron card from set 5, I think it is. It gives it triple attack. No, not triple attack, triple strike.
Yeah, so that would work amazingly with the leader.
Yeah, like it should be easy enough to get to turn 5 with this deck, because it's got a few good cards specifically for the deck that we're going to see coming up, and being able to get the turn 5 and give your leader triple attack and triple strike, so you're having a 30k triple attacker. That's just horrible.
I guess something you do have to watch out for with this deck is being wary about decking out, because obviously with most Shenron decks they're basically running 7 less cards in their deck because of the Dragon Ball mechanic, and I guess that's somewhat similar to this. And then also with the fact that you gain triple attack, and so you're drawing 3 on your kill turn, you could potentially deck out pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think that's one of the benefits of its Activate Main, really, is that it can help you avoid decking out slowly with the fact that you have to bottom deck a card. So that's one way to kind of deter. But it does seem strong. Like you're awakening by turn 2 at least, or at least if you can attack the first turn, you're getting 4 balls in your drop and hand, or even you can probably awaken turn 1, because I know there's a ball we're going to go over in a bit, which can help you draw 2 and discard 1, while you discard, so I think, the draw 2. But this seems pretty good. Like, I don't know how amazing the Black Smoke Dragon unison is going to be for the deck. Like, it is interesting. You can draw your card every turn because you don't have to put balls in the drop to get a draw, and it's 15k that doesn't do much apart from draw you 1, and it takes at least 2 resources in your hand if you play it that turn, and an energy as well if you want to rejuvenate. And it's going to be.
I'm not sure how good the unison will be.
Because I know I would try to take it out, because if they're drawing a card from the unison for free, that's going to be the first thing they're going to target.
Yeah, and it'll be really easy to kill because it's only 15k.
Yeah, but the leader looks very strong.
Yeah, definitely.
And then onto the first slot of support for the Mecha deck, we've got the 2 of the extra cards and the Shenron that we mentioned about that can help you rejuvenate turn 1. Do you want to go over these, the Bulls and the Judgment?
Yeah, sounds good. So for the Bulls, we have the permanent of you can include up to 7 copies of this card in your deck, and it also gains Dark Dragon Ball in all areas. It has an Activate Main of if your leader is a Black Demon Realm race card, Your opponent chooses one of their battle cards with an energy cost of 1 and sends it to its owner's warp. I suppose that this is somewhat helping out the Shroom and Salsa deck as well, because the Shroom and Salsa leader is also a Demon Realm race, I think. But it's going to be very situational in that respect.
Yeah.
And it will mostly be for the Mechie deck. And then it also has an Activate Battle where you can basically turn it into a 5k combo for the battle.
Like the rest of the Dark Dragon Balls, they got the same effect, I think.
Nice, yeah. And then the Negate, it's just 1 energy, and has a standard counter attack of negating the attack. It also has a permanent of, if your opponent has 3 or more cards in their warp, you can activate this card's Activate Battle skill from your hand without paying the energy cost. And the Activate Battle skill is if your leader is a Mecha Kabura only card, and it's your opponent's turn, you get to choose one of your cards, and it gets plus 5k power for the turn. So like similar to Senzu Bean in that regard.
Yeah,
and the fact that you can play it down for free in black is just amazing.
Yeah, free 5k boost for the whole turn is very strong.
Yeah, especially in a Shenron style deck where they want to be stalling out the game until a certain kill turn.
Yeah, this is going to be one strong way to help you make sure you get to that turn 5 if you do go for the Shenron for the triple attack, triple strike kill.
Yeah. And then finally we have Dark Shenron, the Wicked Wishmaster, which is a 2-cost 20k and has the permanent of not being able to attack. And it has an auto once per turn if your leader is black. When a battle card in your opponent's drop area is sent to the warp by one of your skills, you get to draw a card and then warp another battle card out of your opponent's drop area. Oh no, not out of the opponent's drop area, just from the board, which is really strong actually. You're basically going +2 every time you warp one of their drop area cards. And then it also has an Activate main of if your leader is a Mecha Kabura card and you choose one of your black Unison cards with the Rejuvenate skill, you get to place this card under the chosen card from your hand and then add a marker to that card. So that's how you mentioned before about being able to rejuvenate turn 1.
Yeah. These cards are pretty strong. Like the Yearning for Balls is a decent one. Like it's nice for removal for 1-drops and stuff. Pity it doesn't go through barrier, but that Judgment Darkness is something that probably might be automatically 4 of in the deck.
Yeah, Darkness Judgment seems definitely one of the stronger cards out of these 3.
And the Dark Shenron actually is kind of one of the things that actually makes it worth having the Unison, really, because the Unisons every turn for it's just -1 is to remove something from their battle card from their drop area to draw a card. So that automatically for free triggers the Shenron as well to draw another card and warp something from their field. So you're getting 2 cards a turn for that combination, but you still got to pay 1 for the Unison and 2 for this.
Yeah, so altogether it's pretty expensive with how fast the game has been recently.
Yeah. And then we got the next lot of Mecha Kabura Sport, which we've got the Poutine, the Big Boss Mecha Kabura, and then the little shriveled Mecha Kabura for which is like a cantrip. So we got the Poutine is something that is the deck's equivalent to Topo in sense of the fact that it's a counter attack, so it negates the attack, but only if your leader card is a black Mecha Kabura only card. You negate the attack and play itself, being a 2-cost 15k, so similar to Topo. But what makes it actually similar to Topo is his auto of when it's your opponent's turn and you choose a card from your hand and place it at the bottom of your deck. When this card is played, your opponent can't attack for the turn unless they choose 2 cards from the hand and send to him as warp each time. So in time with it's nice that it says each time, so it's going to avoid people asking, is it for the turn, blah 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 blah. And warping helps to fulfill things like because the requirement on the bean needs a certain amount of warp, and just like Topo, your opponent's not going to lose 2 cards for each attack unless they can kill you that turn or with that next swing. And then we've got the Big Boss Mecha Kabura for the deck, Dark King Mecha Kabura, Power Restored. 1 cost 10k combo, 8 cost 30k. It's got Deflect and Double Strike, so it's nice having Deflect, meaning blue's not going to stop it coming out, and then green's not going to it's not going to be affected by the yellow and blue counter plays. and the green one's not going to touch it because it's 8 cost, not 7 cost or less. Double Strike means it's going to be a decent finisher, and it's got 2 effects. The first is the auto of if your opponent has 4 more cards in warp, so that once again the deck is going to easily be able to do that because most of the things are trying to warp your opponent's stuff. When it's played, you choose all your opponent's battle cards since turn is warp, so it's a board wipe unless it's barrier. And then you choose up to 2 of your opponent's 2 battle cards from your opponent's warp with energy cost of 7 or less, and different card names. Negate their skills for the game, and play them in your battle area. And you can't play non-black battle cards for the turn. So that's very strong. Board wipe plus get 2 more bodies from your opponent, and the way that you're not going to be paying 8 because you can use this activate main, which for 4 specified black. If your leader card is a Mecha Kabura only card, play it from your hand. So it's coming down for 4. And that's almost as scary as the Rivalry and 5-drop from a cube. And then the last one we've got is Mecha Kabura Ritual at hand. Auto says a cantrip. Also, when this card is played, draw 1. And as well as that, it's got an activate main for 1 black energy. If your leader card is a Mecha Kabura only card, you look up to 7 cards on top of your deck and play up to either a black Toa, Shroom, or Salsa card with energy cost of 4 and 15k power or less among them, and shuffle your deck. And you can't play activate main skills on copies of this card for a turn. So it's a hard once per turn, that effect. So these look really strong. Like that Poutine is a very strong card. It is basically its version of Topo specifically for the deck.
Yeah, I feel like the Poutine is going to be really strong, especially if you opt to go for a more control or combo route for the Mecha Kabura deck.
Yeah, just having this card and the bean just shows that it's going to be quite easy to stall to that turn 5 play to get that Shenron into Shenron leader combination to go for the 30k triple strike, triple attacking leader.
And I'm especially glad that Bandai, even though they made the Mecha Kabura 30k, they made his activate main only available to if you're playing the Mecha Kabura leader.
Oh yeah,
you can't play this card in Dark Broly.
Yeah, if you could do this in Dark Broly, that would be even worse than it already is, really.
Yeah, that would just be bonkers.
Like, it's nice that it's limiting to a specific leader, some of these very strong cards, because if you had these cards generically available for all black decks, like one, you're making Vetex stronger, and also you're making Dark Broly stronger.
Yeah.
And the Mecha Kabura Ritual Hand's alright, because I think there's even some targets from older sets. Like there's I think there's a Toa from the Villains and, one back into like set 2 we had the Villains and Hero Structure deck with the Black Massey and the Trunks back in the expansion. I think there's a target for that in there, and also from set 4 there's one that when it's played can steal one of your opponent's 3 drops or less. So there's more targets than just what's in the set for that Meki. But speaking of its targets, do you want to go over the next lot of targets that's included in this set?
Yeah, sure. So this is probably my favourite 3 cards out of the archetype for Mecha Kabura. We've got a Shroom, Salsa, and Demon God Toa Ritual at hand. So they're all pretty similar. The Shroom has an auto of if you have 2 or more energy, when this card attacks, your opponent chooses 1 battle card in their drop area and sends it to their warp. And then you choose up to 1 of their battle cards with an energy cost of 3 or less and send it to the warp. So just helping you get to that 3 cards in the opponent's warp requirement for that Judgment card, the kind of bean for black, helping you get to the requirement for that. And then it also has an activate main of if your leader is a Mecha Kabura only card and you have 2 or more Dark Dragon Ball cards in your drop area, you play this card from your hand, and then you place up to 2 Dark Dragon Ball cards from your deck in your drop area, and then shuffle your deck if you look through it.
And that's something they all share as well.
Yeah, they all share that as well, although the Toa can also gain the effect if your leader is a Toa card as well.
Oh yeah, it's got that, yeah.
So that's, I guess, a little bit of support for the ultimate deck Toa, because you'll be running Dark Dragon Balls in that. But I really like that card that effect because you can easily get 2 Dark Dragon Balls in the drop area turn 1 if you go second. because when your leader attacks, you can search out 2 Dark Dragon Balls.
Yeah.
And then the Salsa has an auto of when it's played, your opponent chooses 1 card in their hand, sends it to the warp, and draws a card. So it's a pretty strange auto because it's a little bit similar to the Slug archetype from set 12, where it gives your opponent the option to draw a card, but it also takes a card out of their hand.
If your opponent's got like a hand where they don't want to lose anything tonight, it puts them in a tough situation.
Yeah, if they're especially low on cards in hand, then it can be really tricky because they'll start warping out cards like super combos and stuff.
Yeah.
And then the Salsa also has an auto of when it attacks, your opponent chooses 1 battle card in their drop area and sends it to that warp, and then you get to draw a card, but you can't activate auto skills on copies of the card for this turn. So just some nice value, being able to draw a card every time you swing, and also helping you get to the 3 cards in warp for the Judgment card again. And then the Toa is a blocker and 10k, and it has an auto of when this card is played, you choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards, send it to its owner's warp, and then your opponent chooses 1 card in their hand and sends it to that warp and then draws a card. So I feel like out of all of these, Shroom and Salsa are going to be a lot more aggressive, and then the Toa is a lot more of a defensive card.
Yeah, like the Toa is going to be the one defending you, but also is going to be your removal as well. So it's a really defensive remove a threat that you don't want to attack with, and then be able to block at least 1 attack.
Yeah. And then the Salsa is kind of more value oriented in that it draws the card each time, and then the Shroom is, again, more removal stuff.
Yeah, Shroom's quite aggro, Salsa is more advantageous, and then Toa's really defensive, so you've got all different options you want to for depending on how the game's progressing on that turn for you.
Yeah, and I feel like honestly with these cards, because they all come down for 1 energy and they put your opponent into so many micro decisions that can really swing the game if they misplay any of them. I feel like you could honestly make a much more aggressive version of the Mecha Kabura without any of the unison stuff and without the 5-drop Shenron, and just with like these cards and some pure aggression stuff, and going for the triple attack on your leader and then the 8-drop Mecha Kabura as a finisher.
Yeah. But these are definitely going to be ones you want to put in your Mecha deck for 100%.
Yeah, they definitely make the deck just really flexible in all aspects. And they help your leader awaken because each of them gets to mill 2 Dark Dragon Balls.
Yeah, it helps you make sure. Essentially, these coupled with the unison and the leader's effect mean you will be awakening turn 2, because if you grab any balls or whatsoever already in hand, you've got them ready to put in. Your leader grabs 2, and then if you can drop these turn 1 and turn 2, you're getting those 7 balls and drop ready to awaken. And then going on to the rest of the black cards for black support, we've got the first slot with Broly, the Burr, and Kai. So Dark Broly's getting more support. I seem to love this deck because it's a 6-drop 30k like the rest of them. Dark Broly the Vindicator. It's got unique like the rest of them. Overwhelm for a 6 for 1 energy, and auto that's once per turn for 1 energy. Of if your leader card is black and your opponent has 3 or more energy, so at least your opponent has to be on 3 energy before you can get this effect. At the end of a battle in which this card attacked, you can't play copies of it for the turn, so kind of similar to the rest of the Brodies, where once you play one you can't play another copy of it. You either choose one of the 2 options, which is either place up to 6 black battle cards with 30k power from your warp to your drop, so you put back 6 for 1 energy after attacking with it, or you can choose up to 1 Dark Broly with energy cost of 7 in your hand or a warp and play it on top of this card. That's really strong. And then we've got the Burr, which is kind of the anti-hand destruction everybody's been wanting since Tau, which is the Burr Ritual Hand, free cost 15. So 2 autos, the first one costing 1 energy of when this card is discarded from your hand by your opponent's skill, you play it from your drop area to your warp. You play it to the field from your drop area, and then they have auto when it's played you draw 2 cards, meaning that opponent discards it from your hand, you discard it, pay an energy, play it back, and draw back 2. so you +2 if they discard out from your hand. And then lastly, Supreme Card Time, the Time Labyrinth Unleash. Like, this is such an amazing negate, because it's a free cost, 5k, counter attack, negate the attack and play this card, but its permanent means that if you or your opponent have 3 or more cards in their warp, you reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 2, and with black decks this is easily possible, because like with Wish, like with the Mecha Kabura we've seen, they're warping cards from your opponent to make this live. For a Supreme Kai, you're overwhelming, so you can have cards in warp or any other black decks. Like all the black decks I can think of from the last few sets all have ways to put stuff in the warp. And the thing that makes it amazing, as well as a 1-drop negate, is its auto of if your leader card is black, so it's restricted to black, which is nice. When this card is played using its counter attack skill, you can choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards and censor its warp. Then at the end of the turn, you play that. Your opponent basically plays any card sent to the warp by the skill back to his own energy with the skills negated for the turn. So it's nice that it says skills negated for the turn, meaning so it doesn't come back and gain any skills of when it's played, because you played a card back. Now these feet are really strong. I'm guessing you've got strong feelings with the Burr as well.
Yeah, as a hand destruction player, I really don't like the Burr. I think it's probably my least favorite character at the moment. I'm really upset that they released this card.
It is needed though.
Oh, sorry, what did you say?
It is needed though.
Yeah, I suppose, but it's just a shame. I love hand destruction so much. I guess it is probably necessary just for a good side deck option against hand destruction, and the fact that it's generic is very strong as well.
Yeah, being a common in the set is really good. But then what is only if hand destruction hasn't really done much meta wise at the moment. But this just means that if it does come in the meta, this is what everybody's going to side or main, depending on how much they hate hand destruction.
Yeah.
But it's Dark Broly.
The Kai is really strong as well.
Yeah, being able to, because I think it doesn't need to negate remove the card that is negating the attack of. So say if your opponent swings with a leader, you can negate that attack and then remove the battle card from the ward.
Yeah, for 1 energy mana, being able to stop 2 attacks is just so strong.
Because you negate an attack, you warp something that could attack, and if they attack again, it's a 5k combo. The combo off.
Yeah, and also if the card has like some kind of on-field skill, like a permanent or something, or just an activate main or something like that, they won't be able to use that during the turn either.
Yeah, I can see. I kind of want to use this in Gogeta Zeno just for if my opponent drops Black Mass in, because you negate the attack, play this, warp it for the turn, and then, well, no, it doesn't really work for that. But other black decks that hate that Black Power Massing hurts, that you want to, like, if I guess for Vegex, that situation you warp the Black Mass in, and if you use like the Boo extension attack and mill some things for Vegex, they come out to play and you're not hindered. That's niche, but it's still a really strong attack. And it's nice that Black's getting some of these good counter attacks like the rest of the colours have got.
Something I really like about the Dark Broly is that they didn't restrict it to the Dark Broly leader. So if you're running enough 30k cards like the Vegeta Xeno and the Son Goku Xeno that we saw earlier, if you're running enough of those in the Kai deck, you could theoretically run this and just refill your drop area. Yeah,
and with the Kai it's good because it's not... the auto doesn't trigger if it was overwhelmed that turn. So if you overwhelm it and then get that swing of it, then get that effect to put them back, and you use the leader's effect to keep it on board of the turn. If it stays there, you're getting that for free again next turn. But just swinging and getting that. But in Dark Broly, it's busted. Just swinging to put back 6 in your drop rate to either overwhelm if you didn't use this as an overwhelm, or just dropping it up, having 6 in there again to do another Dark Broly is very strong.
Yeah.
And if it stays, it's just you just gain advantage. It's something Dark Broly didn't really need. And then with more Dark support, we've got the super combos for Black and a Gravy. Do I take these 3?
Yeah, sure. So the Son Goten super combo, it looks like it has an auto of if your leader is Black and there are 5 or more cards in your warp. When this card is used in a combo, you draw a card. So this is similar to that super combo that you mentioned earlier from like set 4 or something.
Yeah,
Um,
is a better version because it's got the actual 10k combo without needing to combo.
yeah, and it's also got the Sun Goten Xeno tag, which I don't remember if that means that it's searchable in the Kai deck at all, but it could be relevant for any kind of future Gotenks Xeno
I
stuff that comes out.
I think I can't remember if it was searchable off that ever Goten, but still having a super combo that's 10k similar to the Kai, that's good to have.
Yeah. And then we have a Toa super combo, which has a Sparking 5 if your leader is black. When this card is used in a combo, draw a card. So that's just pretty nice to have. And then for the Gravy, it is a 2-cost 15k with a once per turn auto of when this card attacks, your opponent may send one battle card from their drop area to their warp. And if they don't, this card gains plus 15k power until the end of your opponent's next turn. So honestly, the Gravy seems pretty lackluster for a 2 energy investment. I
Yeah.
don't know a huge amount about any kind of Gravy decks or Gravy synergies, so I don't think there's really any ways to cheat this out. But
Well,
on its own, it seems
when we had the last set with the Shroom and Salsa deck, there was the Gravy and Poutine from that are 2 drops. So I guess that's another alternative for Gravy in that, and also with the old Demagra deck, there is that 2-cost Demagra from either I can't remember if it was the Ultimate Collection or the Anniversary box. That you pay 2 energy, take up to 2 life, or take 1 or 2 life or something like that, and you can play a Poutine and Gravy from your decks. It's support for the old Demagra deck and the Shroom and Salsa deck, I guess, off that 3-drop Mechie.
oh yeah, the one that brings out 2 drops from your deck.
Yeah, you bring out a Poutine and you can bring out a Poutine and a Gravy, and the other Gravy was for like combo, gain a draw or something like that. But this could be handy because you put your opponent in a situation where, well, only for decks where they want to keep their drop area, they have drop area skills or strategies. Basically, just says if you don't warp something from your drop area, it's becoming a 30k on swing. That's kind of good. But then
Yeah,
if your opponent's got battle card and drop, they're just going to go, okay, I'll warp it, and then combo out of 15k.
yeah, it doesn't really seem that amazing.
No, it's good for those as I said, the Shroom and Salsa and Demagra, but for some of the stuff shown, it is not that great. But the super combos are good, like having a Sparking 5 black 10k and a 5 in your warp super combo is really nice to have. Like they obviously go for their own decks like Goten in Kai, Toa in Mechie.
Oh, and I just realized with the Toa super combo, because it's like a demon realm race, a demon god, that will make it searchable with certain cards. Like I think it was a 1-drop Toa. I think it was called Toa Dimensional Convoker from the last set, where it could search the top 5 for those kind of characters.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Is that the one that you play it for 1? It's a 1-cost. You play it, look at the top 5 or 7, and grab a demon race or demon realm or demon god. Then it had another effect of if you're like a free energy or something, and you tap 1, you can play a Zeno character from your deck.
Yeah, I think it was the one. I think it played the vanilla Shroom or Salsa cards from your deck.
Oh yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, because that's good. There, it's got some searchability for the Tiller deck then, which is nice.
Yeah.
And then on with the last bit of support for the black cards, we've got the Mass King stuff. So we got the 1-drop Dark Mass King, Pursuit of Power, 1-drop with a permanent life if your opponent has 2 or more energy and 1 more battle cards in their warp, which is easy to do for black. You gain 6k power and can attack your opponent's battle cards in active mode. And then with his activate main for 1 black energy if your opponent has 5 or more cards in their warp, which once again is pretty easy enough to do for black decks. You choose up to 1 black King Vegeta Zeno card with energy cost of 6 from your deck or hand, play on top of this card in active mode, and then shuffle your deck if you look through it. And so far, if I can recall correctly, the only target for this is the one next to it, being the King Vegeta Kingdom Lost, which was spoiled It was spoiled early when they got the text mixed up and put on the red one drop from the red cards. This is a 6 cost 19 unique double strike barrier, and it's got 3 effects. First one being an auto of when this card is played, you choose one battle card, one card in your opponent's hand, or up to one of their battle cards instead of a warp. So either you warp something from the battle area to get rid of it, or if they haven't got anything, you've still got an option to warp a card from their hand. And then the other auto, which is once per turn, of if this card is in rest mode, when your opponent attacks the leader, your opponent chooses one card in hand and sets it to warp. So similar to the Xeno Boo, where if your opponent attacks the leader or this is on the board, they got a warp a card. And then the easy way to bring it out, if you don't want to bring it out by the 1-drop, is with its activate main for 2 specified black. If your opponent has 3 or more cards in a warp, play this card from your hand. That's pretty decent. And then the last one being the extra card, which, spoiler, it's not great, is the Clash of the Mass Warriors. Activate battle. You choose one of your opponent's using cards. Your opponent may remove a marker from that card, but if they don't, your leader card doesn't take damage from attacks by their unison cards with strike skills for the battle. Now that is really situational. The extra card is only really the only time it's useful is if your opponent's swinging with a unison that has like a double strike or triple strike skill, but only has one marker on it. Because either way, they're gonna lose the marker and lose the unison, or not lose the marker and you take no damage from that attack because it's got a strike skill. So it's really situational. And
yeah, I guess the only time it would really be useful is against like a deck that uses a unison, for example, the SS Bardock green unison that has like an ultimate where you minus a bunch of counters and it gains a bunch of keyword skills.
Yeah, I think it gains triple attack. No, I think that wouldn't work on. Yeah, because if it gives them the 1, no, it wouldn't matter because that one, because it gains is only strike skills. So unless the unison has double strike, triple strike, or quad strike, it's not going to affect it.
So I guess a better example would be the yellow Vegeta.
Yeah, that's a really good example because most of the time they're playing it for 2, putting a card under it, and then tapping down a battle card to get the 4 markers, and then triggering it. That's a good example. But then still that's very niche and you need to have an energy open to play this.
Yeah, it's a really odd card.
But the Vegeta Zeno ones are pretty good. Like the Dark Mask King is interesting to go into the 2/6 drop, but if you can bring it out by his own activate main for 2 black, there's no really need for the activate main.
Yeah, because in total they cost the same in energy.
And also the activate main requires your opponent to have 5 in warp, where the activate main on the actual 6 drop only requires them to have 3.
Yeah.
So it's not great, that 1 drop, but the 6 drop's good, and it's because you get removal or from the hand is a double strike barrier, and if they attack a leader without going for this first, then they're losing even more cards, which is quite nice.
Yeah, it seems pretty strong. I think I struggle to see exactly which deck the 6 drop would fit into. I guess maybe Mecha Kabura, but I'm not entirely sure which deck would actually play it.
I think it's easier in Mecha Kabura because it's your opponent has 3 or more cards in the warp, which Mecha does quite well in being able to manage that with the all the 4 drops and stuff and the leader itself.
Yeah.
And then now we have the SPRs for the set, which is the black SPRs. Do you want to go over these ones?
Yeah, sure thing. So the SPRs are the Demigri Unison and the Kai of Time Negate. And so we've gone over them before, I think.
Yeah, they look very nice.
Yeah, and in terms of budget players, giving the Supreme Kai of Time an SPR slot is amazing, just because it's such a strong card, and giving it more prints, more copies that are available for people is just really nice to drive the price down just a little bit.
Yeah, because as we've seen with a lot of cards, if they're an SPR and an SR, there's more prints because you get, I think it's similar now, like there's going to be a box stopper for this set. So most time with the boxes you get 7 7 SRs and SPRs in the box, so you get 5 SRs and 2 SPRs, and then a box topper is going to give you 8, so you've got 8 chances in a box to get the cards, and having 2 prints is going to make the SR a bit cheaper, because a lot of papers, they like to be like fall out the decks to have the highest rarity. So at least that way, if people are trying to grab these print cards high SPRs, there's going to be SRs for the budget players.
Yeah, and I think the same mentality applies to the Demigra Unison, because for the sole purpose that the Demigra Unison is absolutely key to have if you want to play the Kai deck. And so for any budget player that wants to play that deck in particular, having this Unison in SPR is amazing as well. And
similar to the last set as well, the Unisons look a lot nicer art-wise than the battle card SPRs. Like this Demigra looks so nice. And I imagine this Kai, like it looks like he's going to have a lot of gold, similar to how the Turtles did. Like the Turtles had too much gold on a black background and did not look nice. But this looks not too bad, this Kai. And right, so that's actually like all the rest of the main set stuff that isn't secret rare. But Bandai did also reveal the TPs to us. So we've got first off we've got the red ones. So we've got for the TP for this set, red is supporting the archetypes in the set, with 1 for the Bardock deck and 3 for the King Vegeta deck. So we've got the Chain Attack Bardock that has a permanent similar to the rest, where it's bond free, where it needs either Red Saiyan cards and or Bardock's crew cards in your battle area. So it's either 2 plus itself, and this one gains 11k in power and critical. And as an auto of when this card attacks, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, and it gets minus 4,000 power for the turn for each Red Saiyan card and or Bardock's crew in your battle area. So immediately, as soon as you've got the bond free triggered, making it a 15k crit for 1 energy, when it attacks, you're minusing something down by a minimum of 12k. And then for the rest of them, we've got the Raditz Younger Vader. So this is a 1-drop 500 power. This was spoiled ages ago when it was listed on the Goku Vegeta and Broly BR change, but it's got the exact same effect as the Broly and Vegeta auto, where when it's played, if your opponent's at 5 or more life, basically if you play this on your opponent's field and they're at 5 or more life, they crit a life and then draw a card. And then we've got probably the best options for the Goku and Vegeta Now chain, being the switching gears, both being 10k free costs, both with an activate main similar to the other ones, where you can bottom deck either a Raditz BR or the 1-drop 500 power copy of their own character from the field, either on your opponent's side or your side, to bottom deck. But you can't play copies from your hand. You can't activate the activate main skills, never copies of that card for the turn. So it means you only play 1 each of these per turn. The Goku has an activate battle of you can choose a card from your hand and bottom deck it, and then you choose one of your opponent's battle cards and it gains minus 10k power, and that's an activate battle as well, which is nice and goes really key with the opponent, with your lead being in the minus 10k power when it's awakened. And the Vegeta, which is really nice for consistency, has an auto of you choose 1 card in your hand and bottom deck it, then you draw 2 cards. Now these look really good.
Yeah, they just look really strong. I especially like the Bardock, because it kind of gives you an actual reward for building up this massive board, other than being able to go so aggressive.
Yeah, but then like with some red decks, they have the issue of Dark Power Black Mass Satan hurts them a bit.
And running into a card like Dormant Potential will completely destroy that deck as well.
Not with the Bardock deck, no, because when it awake, I think on both sides of the leader, it makes any 1-drops on the board, 1-drop red Bardock's crew or Red Saiyan. Well, I think it's just red Bardock's crew free. They increase the cost of the cards to free on the field, so Dormant won't touch the Bardock stuff.
Oh wow, that's pretty nice actually.
Yeah.
And then, am I right in thinking that the Goku and Vegeta stuff before these cards costed 1 energy to bring out?
Yeah, they did. So these are free. These can be played for free to go into the chains, where the previous ones, the 19k ones from the main set, they will require an energy. to play.
Yeah, so these basically, unless your opponent has some kind of counterplay, these guarantee that you can go into your 5 drops on turn 3.
Yeah, so it means that rather than have to, on a turn 3, play one of the other ones, awaken, then drop the 5 drops on top of them, you can just do that all without awakening and awaken after you've dropped the 5 drops, so you've got that energy open after. But yeah, these are really good, the switching gears. Like, it's just a pity that the deck now needs TPs to function as best as possible. And the Raditz as well is really nice in the fact that you have a generic copy of the card that has the same effect as the Vegeta and Broly that can go into all 3 chains, either the Broly chain, Goku chain, and Vegeta chain. So it means you run less of the ever 1 drops. Like you can have if you run all 3 chains, you can have none of the Goku because it doesn't really do anything, and maybe 1 or 2 of each of the Broly or Vegeta. So that way you can leave the Vegeta and Broly on your opponent's side of the field to get those benefits, and then every turn just play Raditz and then get rid of Raditz to play the chains.
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good idea for building the King Vegeta deck.
Yeah, because it saves. I know from testing myself, having 4 of the other Vegetas and Broly, so you had targets to bring back out and targets to remove, meant you had to keep drawing them, and at least the Vegeta's really good and putting back these 1 drops if you draw into them, and the Goku as well, being able to get some benefit, especially on the Awakened side, minusing something by 20k every turn at the cost of bottom decking something.
Yeah, and the fact that it's an activate battle is great because it means that you can use it during either player's turn.
Yeah, so it can be defensive or offensive, however you want to choose it. But then, those are the red ones, and next we are the blue ones. And unfortunately, blue doesn't support all the archetypes released in the set. Ollie, do you want to take these?
Yeah, so the first card we got is a 3-drop 15k Bojack, Rampaging Agent of Destruction. So this looks like it's going to support both the Bojack archetype from the set 13 and probably also the Agents of Destruction. So it has a permanent of when this card is in rest mode, your opponent's battle cards with energy costs greater than or equal to their current energy can't attack leader cards. So it's a bit similar to a Deadly Defender in that regard of it's kind of like a combination of a Deadly Defender and then the -1 skill of the yellow Vegeta Unison.
Yeah.
And then he also has an auto of if your leader is a Bojack Brigade card or has Agent of Destruction in its card name at the end of a battle in which you combo with this card from your hand or energy, you can play this card from your drop area in rest mode. So it goes along with the same synergies as the Bojack Brigade stuff that's been coming out in the set 13 stuff. But it can also work with the original Bojack Brigade leader.
Yeah, I've been testing that and it's been working. This card is nice as a way to, because with the old Bojack leader, he draws on either player's turn when you play a Bojack. So having this play on your opponent's turn to 1-out combo something, 2 play a card, play itself to draw from the leader, and then prevent your opponent from attacking with battle cards that are either equal to or less or more than energy is just fantastic.
Yeah, and then he also has a skill of when he's KO'd, draw a card, which is great because a lot of players will be trying to kill him to get around his permanent skill.
Yeah, and any decks that would be easily be able to remove it by a skill that isn't KOing, you're gonna be less likely to want to drop this by its auto.
Yeah. And so the next card looks like it's more support for the Pycon deck. So it's a 5-drop 15k Gogeta with Unique and Blocker, and it has an auto of when one of your blue Gogeta cards with an energy cost of 5 or more other than copies of this card is removed from your battle area by an opponent's skill, you can play this card from your hand. So that's pretty nice, just a way to free play it out and gain, kind of have a blocker in your opponent's turn if they remove one of your Gogeta cards, just for some extra defense is really great. And then he also has an activate main for 1 blue. If your opponent has 3 or more energy and you place 1 blue Son Goku card with an energy cost of 1 and a blue Vegeta card with an energy cost of 1 from your drop area to the bottom of the deck, you can also play this card from your hand. So I think I've not played any of the Pycon deck, but I think what it tries to do is bring out an 8-drop through evolving onto a 5-drop Gogeta.
Yeah, it evolves the 8-drop on top of a 5-drop for 2 blue energy. But this card's quite nice in the fact that it allows you to kind of do that chain outside of a Pycon deck, because neither the 8-drop and this card is locked to a Pycon. And there's also the Synergy Goku Vegeta, which is one's a 50. One's one that when it attacks, take a life, become a 15k crit, and the Vegeta's a cantrip.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good actually.
Yeah, so if you go for a blue deck, you've got the option with this to go into that Gogeta chain.
And then for the last card we have Pincer Attack Android 18, 2-drop 15k, and she has an auto of if your leader is a blue Android 18 card and you choose one of your opponent's clone tokens and remove it from the game. When this card is used in a combo from your hand, you add up to 1 Supreme Technique Krillin from your deck to your hand and then shuffle your deck. And then also an auto for 1 specified blue if your leader is a blue Android 18 card. At the end of the battle in which you use this card in a combo from your hand, you can play this card from your drop area. I'm not entirely sure what this card is meant to fit into, because I don't remember off the top of my head what the Android 18 leaders are, and what this Supreme Technique Krillin is.
I can't for the life of me, I can't bother to search up to see what it is, but I don't think it was amazing. But this supports the old Android 18 leader, but then this could have been put in an expansion set left for the anniversary box. Like this, at least this slot could have been used to support either the skillless Gohan, really, from the set.
Yeah, this card just seems really weird, and I don't even know what it does really, because I don't know the cards that it's referring to.
No, nor do I. But it's not a good one. The Bojack's a good one to support the Bojack, the actual Bojack in the set, and also supports AOD or the old Bojack leader. The Gogeta is kind of similar to Android 18. It could have been put in the TP of the set the Pycon came out in, the last set. But the 18 could have been an anniversary box like this. These 2 slots could have been support for the actual skillless Gohan deck that this set is supporting.
Yeah, I really don't like how they're kind of delaying support for archetypes rather than just bringing them out in the sets that they're meant to be brought out in.
Yeah, especially for TPs where like there's incentive for you to enter tournaments for that, and if you don't support your deck, you're not really inclined to try and get any. But then on to the green ones. Green ones are pretty strong. So we've got one for Shield, but we don't have one for King Cold. Instead, we've got one for Chilai and Heroines, and one for Turtles, which also once again is something that was released in the last set. So the Shield is a free cost 20k. Shield the Assailant has Deflect, which is nice. As an auto of when it's played, you play 2 Shield Army tokens with 10k power. It's got Activate Main for 2 green. You discard this card from your hand. You choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with energy costs less than or equal to the number of cards in their hand. Ignore and barrier and KO it. And then activate Main of once per turn. Choose up to 2 of your Shield Army tokens. They get 5k power for the turn. So that's a very strong card, which we'll go over in a bit. And then we got Chilai behind the scenes heroine, which with an auto being a 1k 5k. 1 cost 5k, sorry. When this card is played from your hand, you draw a card, and then if your leader card is a heroine card, you need to negate this card's skills for the game, making it a skillless after you've played it. Don't know the relevance of that, but that's what it is. And the last green one being Turtles Leading the Corpse, a 4 cost 15k with unique. As an EX evolve for free on a green Turtles with energy cost of 3 or less, so that's the one that kind of rivals in for the deck. Then it has 2 autos of when this card is played, switch it to active mode, add up to 1 Fruit of the Tree of Might from your deck to your hand, and shuffle your deck. So you get to play it on top of the Arrival Go Turtles after it's swung, untap it so you can attack again with this, and any boost it had passes over, which I think when it plays it gains a 5k, and then grab yourself a Tree of Might, which is basically the champer for the deck. And then the last auto of if it's your opponent's turn, when one of your green Turtles Crusher Corpse card is played in rest mode, choosing that card and switch to active mode. So that's a decent effect. So with these cards, this Chill is really strong, having the first activating meme being similar to that Goku for red, the SSB Kaioken, and being even stronger because it hits a lot more as well.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to have any restrictions like the Kaioken only minuses. I think it minuses 25k.
Yeah.
But this just outright kills it, which is really amazing.
Yeah, and unless your opponent's got a dismal hand, which by then you're winning by either controlling their hand and swinging at them or aggroing down. If they've got anything, you're normally going to be killing anything really up to at least 6 to 8 costs really, because that's kind of the average people normally have in their hand when you're playing some of the meta decks. But just being a 2 cost for 2 green energy, by discarding it, removing one of your opponent's battle cards through barrier is really good for green. And it's not restricted to a green leader as well. You just need to be playing green and have 2 energy having 2 energy green charged. And the Chile is alright. It's a 1 cost that is never a cantrip for for the old Golden Frieza to draw if you want to if you do a lot of the green in it. But Turtle seems quite interesting. Like it gives you more aggression, I guess.
Yeah, I think the Turles is good just like as a 1-of or a 2-of in the deck. I think it's pretty neat in that it allows you to have more defensive options when you're trying to combo out of stuff during your opponent's turn, but it can also give you more aggression in the fact that it plays itself in active mode and gets you another fruit.
Yeah, and like you said, with it can be very defensive because I think all of the Crusher Corps, apart from the blocker, come in rest mode. So having them to play, get their effects, and then untap, and then have them to combo off defensively if you need be as well is really strong.
Yeah, the Chile is just really weird. I'm guessing with the Heroine archetype, because of the way that it's structured, they're probably just going to bring out like a couple of cards to support it with each set.
Yeah, and also you've got to remember this is the first main set that has heroine stuff, because the heroine stuff all came out in a Evolution battle, which is the reprint kind of replacement for draft boxes between sets. So this is the first set is actually the tag's been in a main set. But yeah, so it could be something from future sets, like that could be good for future support. I'm not sure, or even anything to do with skillless really. I'm not sure. But going on to the yellow cards, so once again, yellow is we thought there was no Sinchenron support in the this set. We thought it was all come to an end last set, but no, Bandai kept their word, making sure that throughout this entire block, Sinchenron is going to get support for every set. I think it's the only. I think along with Vegex, is the only deck that's getting support. But this is intentional support, not unintentional support for Vegex by the looks of it. Do you want to take these ones?
Yeah, sure. I guess Bandai just really loves the Sinchenron and Dark Broly archetypes. Just keeps on bringing out more support for each of them.
Yeah.
So we have a yellow Goku Black Unison specified yellow 4 cost, and it has an activate main for 3. If your leader and energy are all mono yellow, you get to play this card from your hand with 3 markers on it. So if you're running a mono yellow deck, then you'll be playing this out for 3. And it has a +/-0 auto. At the end of your turn, switch this card to active mode and it gains blocker until the end of your opponent's next turn. So that's pretty nice just for some defensive options, which yellow generally wants to be quite defensive. And then it also has a -1 activate main. Choose one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, negate its skills for the turn and KO it. So that's pretty good because obviously yellow is going to be switching a lot of cards to rest mode. That's kind of what the whole theme of the colour does.
And it's guaranteed removal as well because it negates the skills and then KOs it.
Yeah, and then any skills that would activate when a card is KO'd, I'm pretty sure are also negated. So
yeah.
Just really convenient in that respect. And then onto the Sinchenron, we have the Nuova Shenron Unwavering Conviction. 4 cost 20k, critical blocker. And it has an auto burst 1 for 1 specified yellow. If your leader and energy are all yellow, which they will be in a Sinchenron deck, when this card is used in a combo from your hand, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards or unison cards and switch it to rest mode. That's pretty strong, I think. Just being able to combo and then having the option to switch a card to rest mode by paying 1 energy is just nice. And also the burst one is great for Sinchenron.
And is also for battle cards or unison cards. So he's got that edge over the Zamasu super combo, being to hit the unison card, which it couldn't do.
Yeah, that's true. And it's also generic. It just requires you to be basically in a mono yellow deck. It doesn't necessarily require the Sinchenron leader or anything.
No, it's not mono yellow. It could be dual color as well, because it's just leader card and energy are all yellow. So as long as there's dual,
true,
so it can be used in things like Cell Surge and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's actually really good. And then also because it has critical and blocker, those are going to be really nice skills to copy for your 8-dropper Mega. If you don't have the Oceanus in drop that gives you barrier blocker, you can go for a slightly more offensive version of that.
Yeah, it's nice for it, because it allows you to be, if you don't need the barrier specifically for your 8-dropper Mega, the allies absorbed, you've got this other option as to keep up the blocker skill, but also have that crit pressure.
Yeah, and then crit on the 30k is just amazing. And then for the last card, we have 2-drop 5k Pan Heroine's Lineage, so more heroine support, I guess. Blocker, permanent if you have a Son Goku GT or Heroine card in your leader area or battle area. You can play this card from your hand without paying its energy cost. So I guess this is kind of a way to just be able to freely activate the leader skill, where you get to draw a card and give both this card and the leader card plus 5k. But in a heroine deck, I feel like you don't need that, because all of the cards you'll be playing will be activating that skill.
It just feels like the Pan just feels like a common card that should have been in the main set. Like it's just a free blocker, which it's a waste of a slot for TP, really.
I'll be really disappointed if I get any of these cards in my TPs.
Because once again, just like the blue Gohan deck, the yellow archetypes from the actual set got shafted by not having any TP support. So basically what's in the main set for yellow is all they have. And instead, Sinchenron got even more support. Especially that Goku Black, meaning that can now awaken turn 3 at high life if it wants to. So the defensive, so both aggro and defensive Shin can awaken turn 3. And both the effects are good. Like having it -1 to have removal that doesn't trigger any effects is really nice. And the auto, meaning you can attack with it and then restand it to block.
Yeah, just some really strong stuff, especially for Sinchenron.
The only edge it has from Meki really is that it can awaken your leader a turn early. That's it.
Yeah,
but it is still a good option for the deck.
Yeah, it seems pretty good.
And then on for the next lot, we got the black TPs. So black, like with red and green, technically, have supported the archetypes on it. So we've got, first of all, we've got a Time Patrol Sun Goten, which is a 2-cost 10k. Also, which is once per turn when you play a battle card using Overrealm, you draw 1 card and then play up to 3 black battle cards when you warp in your drop area. So it's a draw 1 that allows you to Overrealm, works really well with the Kai deck to Overrealm again that turn, and then has an activate main if you choose this card and the card and one of your Trunk Zeno cards. Send the turn is warped. Choose up to 1 Gotenks Zeno card with energy cost of 3 from your hand or warp and play it, and if you played the card from your hand, you draw a card. So another way to get the Gotenks out, I guess. But then the Gotenks, if I remember correctly, was could be a 1-drop counterplay. So like the altar seems good, but the activate main is probably not going to be used. And then we got I
guess the activate main would be pretty good if you're going for a much more aggressive turn and you want to go up into the 6-drop for cheaper.
Yeah, I suppose that's true. Yeah, it does come out for free. So if you do have the setup already, it means you can just pay that 1 to evolve onto the Gotenks, and then
it means you have that 1 extra black energy to use the 6-drop Gotenks.
Yeah, that's true.
Multiple times.
Yeah, because this is coming down turn 2, turn 3. You can have both attacks be 35k double strike from that 6-drop. So that is a technically good way of it. And then we've got Demon God Toa restoring the Dark Empire, a 2-drop 10k. It's going to be support from the old Toa, the Ultimate Box Toa lead because of his activate main for 1 energy. If your leader card is a Toa card, your opponent has 2 or more energy, you discard this card from your hand, and you place 1 card from your life to your drop area, so a lot of things, a lot of requirements. And you can activate copies of this card for the turn. Skills on copies of this card for the turn. You get 2 options. You either play up to 2 Dark Broly battle cards with energy cost with different card names and energy cost of 2 or less, and or non-black battle cards with Zeno in their character names, different card names, and energy cost of 2 or less from your deck with their skills negated for the turn, then shuffle your deck. Or you can choose the 1 Dark Broly card from your deck and play it. I'm not sure, from what I can remember, I think there's 3 targets for the first part. There's the 2-drop Dark Broly, there's the 2-drop Slug, and there's the 2-drop Janemba counter.
I think there's also a 2-drop Freezer.
Okay, yeah. Is that the green one? Is it from the star deck?
Yeah, where I think it forces your opponent to discard a card if it deals damage.
Okay, so that's a good option then, because at least with 1, if you want to get the Slug out there, because if your opponent's got 2 or more energy, you're at least on your turn 2, and getting that Slug out has that one energy cost to then go into the 9-drop, and then you've got one of the other ones to use quite well. As you remember, you're going to want to keep as a negate. The Dark Broly can then, I think that turn also go into another Dark Broly, and then you got the Freezer. Does it have critical?
I don't remember, but it has its skills negated for the turn that it's played out with.
Yeah. So 100% you're going to be wanting to get the Slug then off of that first one, because it's then live in your opponent's turn, ready to bring out that 9-drop, and then whichever preference you have for the other one. That's still good for the total deck. And then we've got another 6-drop SS4 Vegeta 30k for Overrealm. So this one is Feigned Greeting. This is Overrealm 6, unlike the other Vegeta that's in the main set. It doesn't have any energy requirement, so it's a free 6 cost Overrealm. And it's got the auto of when this card is played using Overrealm, your opponent chooses 1 card in hand as this is a warp. So this could be, I think this might be a better option for the Gogeta to go with the, like how we said, with the other SS4 Vegeta that have weight to synergize with the Union Fusion and also be a good 6-drop Overrealm, because this one's free unlike the other one.
Yeah, and it will still give you some value because your opponent has to discard a card.
Not even discard, just warp it. So you get a 30k beat stick, and they warp a card from the hand.
And I feel like that's especially good for Gogeta Zeno, because if you can get out all of those Son Goku cards that mean that your opponent has to warp a card every time they use a counter, you can really start depleting their hand with this and that, with this card and the Son Goku card.
Yeah, because especially if you're facing things like a green deck or a green deck, where when they use or even then if you've got those Gokus out, if they've got multiple of those Gokus out and you Overrealm this, if they use a counter like Trunks to stop it from coming out, or the Freezer to then go and pop it, they're going to be losing a lot of card from this, or if it isn't Trunks out, and then they're going to be losing cards from just using a counter because the Goku. So this is a nice way to give some more hand control for the deck. And then speaking of Gogeta Sinnoh, once again they've got another TP Gogeta, being an SS3 Gogeta thwarting the Dark Empire with a ton of text, having unique and double strike, which is good. That's fair enough, having unique. You can only have 1 on the board, and double strike gives a nice way to finish with the Gogeta deck. It's got Overrealm 6 for 1 black, or you can Union Fusion out for 1 black using a Gogeta Zeno and a Vegeta Zeno. So you can either Union Fusion out or Overrealm, but most of the time in the Gogeta deck, you're going to be Union Fusion out. And it has a similar permanence to the other Gogeta, where if you would go to Union Fusion, you can use them from the warp instead of your hand. But if you do, you put them from your warp to your drop. And then also of when this card attacks, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards and sense the zone is warped. Now this card's amazing. It's generic. You can use it in anything because it's got It's got the Overrealm 6, or even just Union Fusion. It's not restricted to a leader deck. You just need a Son Goku Zeno and Vegeta Zeno, which you have the 1-drops, and as we said, the 1-drops to synergize it in any deck. You also have the 6-drop Overrealm cards as well to synergize, and having that auto of removal when it attacks, and also being a double 25k double striker, is really what the deck needed.
Yeah, this card is just insane, and I'm a real big fan of the flexibility of having both the Overrealm 6 and the Union Fusion skill.
Yeah, because
those like niche situations where you want to be overwhelming to put your drop area back into your warp for more Union Fusions.
Yeah, because say you've only got one copy of one of the copies, like for one Vegeta or one Goku in your drop and or warp, you can at least, if they're stuck in your drop and you don't have any in your warp, you can at least overwhelm this and then have Union Fusion live for another different Gogeta, which is nice. Just having that Overrealm tag is really helpful when you don't have Overrealm and you need to warp your drop. And 6 is not that difficult to pull off in the Gogeta Zeno either, because you do a lot of putting back from warp to deck, not to deck to drop. But these are some nice ones. Like, it's nice to see this supporting the actual archetypes in the deck, and also the Toa supporting the old Toa lead is a nice thing as well.
Yeah, I feel like Black got a really strong mix of older and newer support.
Yeah. And while it might seem odd that we've got an odd number of promos, because there's normally 18 TPs. We got the last TP in the premium pack promo. The TP being, do I take these two?
Let me find them. Yeah. So we got the first card being the Dark Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, that's the nice little premium pack promo we're getting.
Yeah. So it's a 1-cost black extra card with a permanent of this card gains Dark Dragon Ball in all areas, and it also has another permanent of if your leader is a black Mecha Kabura card with the Wish skill, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1. So this is going to be played in the Mecha Kabura deck, and it's just going to be a 0-cost Dark Dragon Ball. And it has an activate main skill of if your leader is a black Mecha Kabura only card, and you choose one Dark Dragon Ball card, Demon Realm race card, or Demon God in your hand and discard it, you draw 2 cards, and then your opponent sends 1 battle card from their drop area to their warp. So this is just amazing for the Mecha Kabura deck, because it's like everything the deck needs is deck thinning, it's warping cards from their drop area, and it's filling up your drop area with Dark Dragon Balls.
Yeah, it's deck thinning, which as we know is deck winning.
Exactly. This is going to be a straight up 4-off in the Mecha Kabura deck.
Yeah, 100%.
And then the other card is a 5-drop blue-green Android 16 Stalwart Defender. 15k energy exhaust, arrival blue-green for 1 specified blue. And it has an auto of when this card is played, you can't play copies of this card for the turn, and then you choose one. So you get to choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 4 or less and KO it. Or, if your leader is a blue Android card, add up to 1 blue Android 16 card with an energy cost of 2 or less from your deck to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So that seems like some pretty decent support for the Android, like blue-green Android 16 stuff that's been happening a lot, that's been coming out recently in the Evolution Booster deck.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem that amazing. Like, it's not the best thing ever for the deck, but it seems pretty good.
I think the only really good thing about it really is the fact that when you rival it in, you can search for the 2-drop from the set. I can't remember what set was. Was it set 8? When it will come out, you can search for that 2-drop one that helps you ramp energy, but restricts you to not being able to play 30 to 35k battle cards.
Oh yeah.
And it's a good way to search that out. So turn 1, you can arrival this in if you want to waste an arrival of that, or even do it defensively, and then have that go that 2-drop in your hand. Search that out, which then can be played off the for the Android 16 deck, you can be hardcasting it, but then for the Android 21 deck, you've got an extra card that plays it for free when you negate a card, the 1-drop negate from the Anniversary collection.
Oh yeah, this card isn't restricted at all to the Android leaders.
No,
I didn't even realize.
it just needs a blue Android leader, so it can work in the 21 deck, not as well as the Android 16 deck really. But it doesn't seem as good as the other ones we've got in the evolution booster.
Yeah, this card isn't. If it had like a blocker tag or something, it might be pretty decent, but it's not. It's not the best, I don't think.
But this Star Wars reference extra card here, the Dark Empire Strikes Back, that is a 100% a card anybody who wants to play Mecha Kabura needs to pick up. And luckily, it is a 2 of in every premium pack. So all you need to do is pick up 2 premium packs, and you get a playset of this card and some packs as well for the new set. That's going to be really good.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to be looking to grab that.
And then, like with all TPs, we have winner TPs, and the selection for this set is the Bojack in the blue, the Chilled in the green. The Android 16 gets a TP winner stamp, and similar to the last set, Gogeta gets a never winner stamp version. Now these all look very nice, the art-wise.
Yeah, you're happy to hear about the Gogeta winner stamp.
And really, they're all pretty good choices. Like the green Chilled is a nice one for green, so that is one of those good generic green cards. The Gogeta is going to be a chase card for the winner, similar to how Launch and Omega were for the last one. The Bojack's pretty good. I imagine there's a lot of people who like the Bojack leader. Like there's a lot of people who support the old Bojack leader, but the Android 16 seems a bit of a disappointment pick.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't have picked Android 16 out of the ones that we saw.
Yeah, but the other ones are pretty good choices in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
And then luckily for this weekend, Bandai decided to one at a time, from Friday to today, drop us the secret rares. So the first secret rare we got, which was revealed ages ago, was Rebellu, which apparently is Demigra's assistant. I've never heard of this character before. Have you heard of her before?
I think so.
So she is a... do I go over this one, or do you want me to go over this one?
You can take this one.
So it's Rebellu. It's I'm not about bother saying about Ultimate because every single secret's got Ultimate. It's a double striker with Dark Overrealm 8 for 2 energy. So you can use, if you don't know what Dark Overrealm is, it's just like Overrealm, but you require whatever amount numbers in the Dark Overrealm keyword in your drop in black battle cards. So with Dark Overrealm 8, you need 8 black battle cards in your drop, and then you need to pay 2 to trigger it. Then he's got a permanent, which is nice that they're putting these permanents on secret rares now, which is if this card will be removed from a battle area, removed from the game instead. So just like the Kai and the... I think so far it's just the Kai has got this. Oh yeah, and the Bojack has it as well. And it's got two... It's got... Oh yeah, Hatch, yeah. Yeah, that's what I meant by Bojack. It's got 2 autos. The first is if you have 4 more energy, when this card is played using Dark Overrealm, play up to 2 battle cards with different card names, energy cost of 6 or less, and the Overrealm skill from your warp. So this seems tailored to the Kai deck, really, because that's using a lot of Overrealm and up to 6 costs as well. And then we got the second auto, which is choose 1 card in your battle area with the Overrealm skill and place it in your drop area, or the owner's drop area. Then when one of your opponent's cards attacks, you need to get the attack. So that's pretty good for this 2 energy. As long as you got... when you're on turn 4, because you need that 4 energy for the first auto. For 2 energy, you Dark Overrealm this in for 40k double striker. And also you grab 2 6-cost Overrealm cards from your warp and play them. So you can get that Goku and Vegeta we saw earlier to swing with. And they stay on the board as well, because they're not Overrealm, they're just brought out. And then you've got the second order to sack them off to negate attacks, which is interesting.
And the something that's really good is that the Goku and Vegeta, a lot of Overrealm cards have their effects only activate when they're played with Overrealm, but because the Goku and Vegeta effects happen when they attack, they don't have that requirement, so they actually get their effects if played by this card.
Well, and even the the TP Gogeta we saw is just when it's played, not played by Overarm, just when it's played, I think it said. So you get that effect to warp from the hand as well when you just play it.
Yeah. And then also if you're planning to play this in the Kai deck, you get the wormhole effect of your Unison, and then you can potentially play out another Overarm card, and then use the Kai effect to crit a life to have that stick around. So if you're not killing them on that turn, you get 3 potential negates off of the secret rare.
Yeah, and 4 big swings as well, because most 6-drop Overarms are like 30k, so that is some big power on turn 4 as well.
This card's just so great, being that it can be a finisher and it can also act as a defensive card as well.
Yeah, this is going to be a nice secret rare to pick up. And then we got the second one we got yesterday is the Sinchenron one, Corrupted by Darkness. Do you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure.
Mr. Sin.
It's a 1 cost 10k combo with blocker, and the permanent of this card is also treated as black in all areas, which is great for a lot of decks that can only... A lot of black leaders are restricted to only being able to run black cards in the deck, or only being able to awaken if you have black cards in energy or in drop or something like that. And then it has the same permanent of if it was be removed from the battle area, it gets removed from the game instead. So to prevent any kind of recycling of this card that could potentially happen. And then it has an auto for 1 energy at the end of a battle in which this card is used in a combo from your hand. You play this card from your drop area, and if you do, you get to choose any number of your opponent's leader cards, battle cards, and unison cards equal to or less than their current energy, ignoring barrier, and switch them to rest mode. So that effect is just crazy. It's very reminiscent of Baby Hatch, but generic, because it doesn't have any restrictions to any color. It just requires you to combo with it, paying 1 energy for the combo cost, and then paying 1 energy for the auto effect.
Yeah, so for 2 energy, defensively, you can essentially shut down all your opponent's attacks, be it unison, leader card, battle cards, if they've got a board, knowing barrier as well.
And the fact that this is a blocker means that if they have more battle cards or more attacks than they have energy, you can even stop 1 more of their attacks.
Yeah, and being a 40k blocker is it's gonna be hard to get over. Normally, if you're blocking with this, they're just gonna go, no combos.
Yeah, true. And then if that wasn't enough, he also has an activate main for 4 energy of this card gains double strike and dual attack for the turn. So so you can use this card to stall out 1 extra turn and stop all of your opponent's attacks. And then during your turn, you can kill them on the clapback with a 40k double strike and dual attacker.
This is a nice secret rare. Also, the good thing about this is if Cell Zeno didn't exist, this would be a very strong card for Sinchenron, because it's a Shadow Dragon and yellow. So when you get to that turn 6 play, you can revive this with the leader card if it ends up getting bursted by your Oceanus or Nova effects. Or if that's true, actually. Or if you don't want to pay the auto and just use it as a combo, because it only be played if you play it from the auto. If you just combo with it and don't bother with the auto cost, you can just go to the drop and then you have it there ready.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how control Sinchenron lists will be looking after this set. But if they are not running Cell Zeno, this could potentially be a replacement for the more slower versions of the deck.
Or if Bandai eventually do get some balls and hit Cell Zeno or Errata, which being a secret rare is unlikely they're going to do, this would be a good option for as a replacement for Sin, because of that synergy with being a Shadow Dragon.
But also, this card is just amazing for any kind of control deck.
Yeah. And also, it is a niche use, that's probably a waste, but in decks like you said, like black decks where they require a certain amount of energy, the energy being black or a certain color, this card is also yellow and black in the energy. So if you wanted to have Nimbus in Meki or Nimbus in a black deck, you can charge this and it counts as yellow and black.
Oh yeah, that's true actually. That's pretty funny.
But then that's a waste of a secret. But it could become niche play. It could be a situation could come up.
Yeah, definitely.
And then today we got the last one, which it was we predicted that it was going to be yellow and red as the colors, because if you look at the old sets, since set 10, they've followed the color combinations in reverse order of the multicolors. So for multicolors, we went from red, green in the first, red, green, and blue, yellow in the first one, to ended up being 2 sets later after that, yellow, red, blue, and yellow, green. And if you look at set 10, we got a yellow and green super combo. Then we got a red and blue secret rare. Then last set we got the remember the second secrets from last set. We got a blue and green, and in the set we got red and yellow. So set 10 and 11 secret rares followed the multicolors from set 9, and then this set and set 12 follow the multicolors from set 8. So it kind of, so far from that pattern, I'm going to guess that we got the secret rares in the next set will be blue and yellow, and in the set after, in set 15, will be red and green. But this one is the red one for this set, which is an SS3 Gotenks, the interdimensional warrior. It's a unison, so once again we'll never secret rare union, but this time red instead of black. 4 cost, 25k, has dual attack, blocker, and once again ultimate. So 3 skills. The first auto being very strong is that when its card is played, you choose all your opponent's battle cards, ignoring Baron, and get minus 25 power for the turn. So that's almost a board wipe, unless it's Dark Broly, because they have all those 30ks, but that's still very strong for red. And then it's got its +1 auto. +1 is an auto, which is when your opponent attacks with a battle card, you may choose it, and it gets 25 power for the turn. So that's a very good auto skill. So as soon as it's out with a battle card, as long as it hasn't got barrier, you're minusing it by 25k. And then there's a minus marker skill, the -4. Activate main, this card gets 15k power and triple strike for the turn. At the end of the turn, you switch this card to active mode. So that's relevant because it's blocker. So this seems like a really, not the best out of the 3, not the best by any means really, but an interesting one. I think the best use of this is in Earthling decks, because you remember when we had the from the expansion packs, we had that red Shenron card that can cheat in a 4 specified cost red unison.
Oh yeah, I know the one.
So this could be so with that unison, this could be cheated out for free energy. I think for free energy for 2 markers, it could be cheated out by that. So for red Earthling only cards, leaders, this could be a good one. But for anything else, it's a strong card, but it's not going to be great for red decks. Apart from red Bulma, maybe could be the best use.
It could be potentially good if cards like Violent Rays and Topo stay relevant, which I can see they're going to be relevant for a decent amount of time. But the fact that it's a secret rare means that it's really weird, because I feel like if it were not a secret rare, then it would, and you'd be able to play multiple copies of it, it could actually be pretty strong.
Yeah.
You can only play 1 copy and it takes up your secret rare slot. Probably means that it won't get played over cards like the Kai secret rare from last set.
Yeah, that is the issue with the unisons for our secret rare, because they're only you can only run 1 copy, because all secret rares have the ultimate tag, and so they can't up any markers outside their own skills, because you can't place another copy because it's ultimate. But this one, like, it could be good. It could potentially be good in Bulma, because it's a very defensive secret rare for red, and also going to be cheated out earlier using that Shenron unison from the expansion packs. But you'd have to draw it as well. Like, I know Bulma draws a lot, but you still have to find it.
Yeah, I feel like just having unisons of secret rares is a very weird idea, and it definitely makes it a lot harder to build a deck around them, especially when the idea of a unison is that you want it to be sticking around on the board for most of the game to give you this consistent value.
Yeah.
Whereas like big bomb unisons that you can only run 1 copy of feel a lot more like it feels like you get lucky or you don't if you're running them in the deck.
Yeah, like there's not as much incentive to run a secret rare unison as it is to run things like generic secret rares like Kai, or powerful secret rares like for your specified color like Baby Hatch, or Cell Zeno for having a really strong, like a busted secret rare in a deck.
Yeah.
But then that's all for the reveals. So everything from the next set has been revealed now. So proper testing can begin if you're not interested in any more in this set after seeing some good set 13 stuff. But also what happened yesterday was we had the first CardMarket regional by Webcam, and I think it ended up having 176 players in the end for which was meant to be 8 rounds, but then of course Bandai have its one undefeated rule, and at the end of 7 rounds we had an undefeated, and that happened to be Ollie here, Mr. BigONotation himself. So here we've got the top 16 breakdown. So the top 16 decks for CardMarket was 4 Sinchenron decks, a mixture between aggro and control and mid-range. We had 3 King Piccolo decks, 2 Dark Broly decks, 2 Broly swap decks, 2 launch. I don't know what both the launch were. I know one was a red-green one, but I'm not sure if the other one was also red-green or maybe the tricolor one that we've seen before. We had a Cooler Mill, a Kid Gohan blue-yellow like Joey's deck from Crosswell to TCG, and then we also had 1 Vegex deck as well, make top 16. So it is quite a varied one. You can obviously see which one was the preferred one, but no Mecha Frieza at all in the top cut, or no blue deck either. Well, yeah, no blue deck because Cooler Mill is not really a blue deck, nor is Kid Gohan.
Yeah, it's a very interesting breakdown. I think it definitely kind of shakes up a lot of people's expectations for what the meta would have looked like originally. Because I remember back at the start, the release of set 12, people were saying like, oh, Mecha Frieza, Dark Broly, and Broly Swap are going to be the 3 decks to beat. But if you look at this kind of top 16 breakdown, it really doesn't look that way.
Yeah, like still, if you think about it, Mecha Frieza is a strong deck. Like, it is a strong deck for what it can do, all that value, all the drawing and stuff. But yeah, as you said, people think mainly it's Dark Broly, Mecha Frieza, and what was the other one? Yeah, Dark Broly. Are mainly the top decks of the format. But is a lot. You can see it's a lot different to the US events, where the US normally have lots of Frieza, Mecha Frieza, but we had none whatsoever in him in this top cut. Like, we still had a Kid Gohan, so it's a very strong yellow green. Blue yellow is a very good color combination for a deck, especially with the Kid Gohan making full use of that Bojack, I imagine, and the draw power the leader provides. Vegex sneaking his way in is showing that it's still not dead. It's still a good option, just it's not as busted it used to be. Launch being one of the good red aggro decks. Same with King Piccolo. That deck is very strong. As you've tested, haven't you, King Piccolo?
Yeah, King Piccolo was the deck I was on from the release of set 12. It's really strong just as an aggressive deck.
So I know a lot of people probably overlooked it because of the fact it starts with 6 life, but as we've seen with countless decks before, like Toa and stuff, just because a leader doesn't draw or has some kind of disadvantage in the fact that it doesn't draw or starts at lower life doesn't mean that it's not a good deck. Like King Piccolo, once it awakens, if you leave it or if you don't put out its flame, it's gonna come back and it's gonna burn you.
Yeah, and I think part of the reason why Mecha Frieza didn't have such a big showing in this top 16 was maybe partly because it was a best of 1 format, and so with a deck like Mecha Frieza where it aims to play much more of a longer game, the side deck can come into play a lot more impactfully.
Yeah, and I imagine like things like King Piccolo, they can be quite aggressive, and same with Dark Broly. Like the difference between best of 1 and best of 3 is at least with best of 3, you can have a side deck arranged to deal with certain matchups that that's not helpful, or your deck's weak against. But best of one, you've got a main deck those kind of those techs like if you scared of Dark Broly Swap or anything like that, you might want to main the Dark Power Black Massang and things. Like I know I advise some people that ask me for advice. The main blue deck hate, because in a best of one you don't want to be drawing against blue, and I personally hate blue, so I was like just chuck in the one drops that hate blue, because you want to have the best of one. You've only got 50 minutes, and blue will like stall and draw out, and you do get some players, especially because I imagine being the first one we had and having that many players, a lot of the people, like the pricing was good just to enter, which made it incentive for people to join, and it's a lot of new people as well, I imagine. So a lot of new people in the first event, they're going to be quite slow because they've never done it before. So that was a pick. So I was always advising to just main blue deck hate, because it's the stally color. It plays the long game, and try and like play aggressively for a best of one. And luckily, it's not as bad as a format as it was for the last ones, because Reboot Gohan got banned, and that deck was it's the best of one king, and it shouldn't be a deck in my opinion.
Yeah, it's so uninteractive.
Like there is the alternative for it, like for people that can't let go of Reboot Gohan and want to play best of one. There's Majin Vegeta, but once again, it didn't make any wave in this event. I don't know how many people played it, but also it's a deck that isn't as consistent because it's doing a lot of double strike swings. But the edge Gohan has is its triple strike swings all from the leader. You don't have to worry about battle cards or anything. They're just battle cards there to support your leader swings.
Yeah. And I think something that's really important to note about this top 16 breakdown, and for best of one formats in general, is that a lot of these decks are actually really flexible in their like core cards. So like with Sinchenron, you can, in the same deck, you can go up into the 9-drop chain and play a much longer game, but you can also go into like the Raid Shenron and Hades Shenron cards and play much more aggressively. And then similarly with King Piccolo and Broly Swap, although on paper they look like aggro decks, you can play them a lot more mid-range if you have cards like Violent Raise and Topo in your deck to stall out the opponent's game plan.
Yeah.
And then obviously Dark Broly is incredibly flexible in that it can play the value game and it can play the aggressive game with like Heartfelt Plea.
Yeah, because Sinchenron has 3 different ways to play it. You've got the aggro version, you've got the mid-range version, and you've got the late stally version to try and get that turn 6 play to just out-advantage your opponent by a mile. And then you've got King Piccolo, which can be aggressive and also be very defensive in the fact that it plays stuff for free on either turn as well from your life and stuff. And then you've got Dark Broly, which is aggroing down with big beat sticks that it can play for free and accrue a lot of advantage, and especially with the Heartfelt Plea, as you said, to get that really aggressive push. And also Broly Swap as well. Most people think that's a really horrible aggro deck, but it can also play control, because you can control your opponent's hand and slowly go the crit route. Because I know I've had that happen to me, where I've had someone who was playing Broly Swap, where they were swapping out to reduce my hand size with the Broly chain and only hit me with crit to try and, so that way if I combo out to save my life, I'm losing more hand. And if I don't take it, I'm not getting anything. If I don't combo out of it or stop it from hitting me, I'm losing the cards and not getting anything from it. And then you've got things like Launch is a very aggressive deck that can. It's like it's basically Hercule with Launch slapped on the tin. It just draws a ton of cards to aggro you down with and still have loads of cards to defend with. And then you've got the last 3 decks, Vegex being utility with loads of good black cards, and as we know, gains a lot of advantage for nothing. Kid Gohan being very defensive in blue-yellow while gaining advantages and killing you over time. And then Caller Mill, which has the Decker option to kind of put you on a clock and also kind of maybe push you to do things you wouldn't normally do. Like if you're thinking, I'm going to deck, I'm going to try and aggro further, they can stop you with that with the defense. There's a lot of flexibility in the decks that made top 16.
Yeah, and I think that's really important to note in a best of one format, is that most of these decks' core cards and core engines kind of make it so that you don't even need a side deck. You just have to change your play style depending on what you're playing against.
Yeah, like if I were to play instead of Judge, I was going to play Gogeta Zeno because that is a very aggressive deck that plays a lot of stuff for cheap and can aggro you down with a lot of swings. And also, once again, it hates blue because of the whole with the 1-drops in it.
Yeah.
But that was a top 16, and you ended up taking it 7-0 with Aggro Sin, going away through it. Was it an easy ride or was it a difficult ride?
Most of the matchups early on, especially, were pretty easy, but the last 2 games I found were much more skill intensive, and I had to think a lot more because I was against undefeated players, and it got harder and harder as the tournament went on.
Yeah, sorry.
I had I'd done a decent amount of testing, just like 1 match each day on the week leading up to it. I hadn't tested against any like specific matchups because I was just trying to figure out how the deck played on its own and not having to worry about matchups. And then I would go away and kind of theorize how to play against each matchup. So I thought against Dark Broly, for example, I would stay at 4 or 5 life, so that if they went in for the Heartfelt play, they'd often be baited into swinging with their 7-drop Broly, and then I could kill it with my Haze Shenron when I comboed with it. And then that meant that they couldn't go into Heartfelt Plea, and they just lost 2 energy and a bunch of tempo and pressure. And then I could kill them on the clapback on turn 3.
Yeah, that's a good strategy because that's one thing. That's probably the best thing to do when going into a tournament is focus on making sure you understand as much as you possibly can your deck strategy and just theorize like a little plan for different matchups. Like if you like against an aggro deck, like to try and see if do you need to be defensive or not, or against a deck that has a really stally turn but can't do much until it gets to a certain turn, you can be aggressive. Is all about knowing more about what your deck does and also having a bit of a working theory of a game plan for certain decks.
Yeah, a lot of matchup stuff just comes down to knowing the cards in your opponent's decks and knowing the standard lists, and then just going over card theory, basic stuff, and then just figuring out how to play against the kind of cards that they'll be playing.
Yeah, and with with best of 3, what you can do is use game 1 to kind of analyze your opponent's deck to see what they've got. So if you can lead it on a bit longer, find out what secret rare they're playing, because some decks there's quite a few different secret rares they can play. So and if you've got that knowledge, you know going into the next set when siding stuff. But with best of 1 is a bit different because you can analyze it like that for 1 game and then have a game plan for the other ones. You've got to have some working theory for going in. But so with the deck that you ran for the event, we've got the list here. So it's a aggro version. I know some people in the chat during the event were saying it's a mid-range version, but as you can see, there is absolutely no extra cards because there's no point for an aggressive deck to have defensive cards when you're trying to be aggro down, especially with Sin as well. It does have a defense built in through its battle cards. But what would you say was the MVP of the deck?
Oh, MVP, that's really tricky actually, because the whole deck just worked so amazingly well together. Some of the obvious choices would be like Omega Shenron, because it's probably one of the strongest cards in the deck. Or even the 4-drop Sinchenron came in really clutch in certain matchups because it would just deny my opponent a draw on their leader and stop some of the early aggression.
Yeah.
But I think probably the main MVP for me would have been the one-off surprise attack Nichiron Shenron, because in, I think it was 2 or 3 of my games, I would turn 2 or turn 3 play down a Nuova Shenron, and then burst 2, and off of the burst 2 in 2 or 3 games, I managed to mill the one-off Nichiron Shenron, and then just slam, immediately bring it back out, so that it has its effect live during the opponent's next turn.
Yeah, because that card is very strong in the fact that at any time your opponent plays a card, your choice as well, because how the altars worded. If your opponent plays something, you can choose to rest it, so it doesn't even get to attack for a battle card.
Yeah, it's just so strong. And I remember in one of my games, I managed to rest my opponent overwhelmed into the 8-drop Fu with triple attack that every time I activate a skill, I have to warp a card from my hand, and I just tapped down the Naturon Shenron, and I was like, you got to rest that one.
I think I watched that game, and you had the 9-drop out, so you had the 9-drop to go, negate the skills, and then warp a card so you can negate its skills, and then Natural Shenron, because both always happen at the same time, go, right, now its skills are turned off, arrest it so you don't have that pressure, making it a waste of the overarm.
Yeah, and tap 4 as well.
Because for anybody that's played Yu-Gi-Oh, I feel like this deck is similar to Gravekeepers, where each individual card isn't massively amazing. Well, apart from the Celzino, obviously that's one of the best secrets in the game. But each card, it's like Gravekeepers, where individually they're not busted, but when you put the deck together as a whole, as a theme, it's very, very strong. Because like you've got the Ice Shenron as a way to as basically being 4 extra copies of the balls, so it means you don't have to run 4 copies of each ball like you did back in set 10. The Oceanus being a top 5 searcher along with your leader, meaning twice a turn if you've got the Oceanus and you can swing your leader, you're getting 2 top 5 searches to keep the consistency, to grab the deck fin, to see what you want, grab pieces that you need. And you got the Sinchenron chain, which is nice disruption. You got the Omegas, which are just very strong cards, like the Omega being a utility card, being a copy most of the cards in the deck to gain their skills, mainly Oceanus, as I imagine you did. And then the Omega being an alternative killer, because the one thing I do like with this deck is that turn 3 you can potentially drop 1 Omega, swing with it for a triple striker, then sack it off for the secret rare to do a quad strike, and then drop another Omega if you've got enough in drop to put so much pressure, like potentially 10 damage in a single turn through that way. And then you've got the defensive lineup of Haze to avoid anything that's playing battle cards above their energy, like higher than their energy. They get punished for it, along with the free drop being able to grab you back things like Oceanus to use again to get out searching, or Nova if you want to get back more battle cards like you said, Natron. Then you got the Rage for the crit pressure while self-awakening, Nova for utility, the Ever Oceanus for defensive capabilities, being able to, I imagine that was probably a good one for the day, be able to untap block with something and untap it so you got more blocking with it.
Yeah, I felt like something that was really strong about the deck was just the surprise factor, because it seemed like every time I comboed with that Oceanus, people didn't know what it did, and I had to like read it out and be like, yeah, I just get to get another blocker back. And generally with the surprise factor of the deck being that everyone was used to the control variant, and so people were often not expecting me to go all in on turn 3 and kill them.
Yeah, that is one of the reasons why I personally like the deck, is because I didn't like when it did the whole control factor of waiting until turn 6 to get that advantage. It was too slow for games, but now we've got the aggro where you just been going all in by turn 3 at least with the Omega for TP, and you have some defensive capabilities, like even the Oceanus, while being a way to untap your blockers, being a way to being something you can copy because it has dual attack for the allies absorbed, giving you a 30k that can attack twice, is very strong.
Yeah. I think I only ever made it to turn 6 in one game throughout the entire tournament, and I didn't even charge the 6th energy because I just slammed down Celzino to try and kill him.
Yeah. And also, like, do you feel that the Krillin super combo is the best super combo option for the deck, or do you feel that maybe Zamasu might be a good option for aggro? Because I personally feel the Krillin is good because it gets rid of it allows you to put back, if you've got 1 balls on the board, it allows you to put anything you have for a ball on the board back in your deck, so you can bring it from the deck rather than your hand, and also allowing you to dig quicker for Celzeno as well, because you're bottom decking, so you're pushing the Celzeno up higher in your deck if it's in there.
Yeah, I felt the Krillin was the perfect super combo for this deck because it also allows you to dig for the Oceanus and the Haze Shenron, which you can then use to combo and either get back a blocker or kill one of their big guys. And even against aggro decks, if you go first against aggro, you're immediately favored because you can turn 2 go up into the 9-drop and tap down their leader with the 4-drop. and then you also have the potential to use Oceanus to restand the 9-drop whenever they attack. So
Yeah.
I felt like Krillin was just really amazing.
And that's the one thing as well. Some people feel that the 9-drop chain isn't, so I think that the aggro versions play. But how do you personally feel about the 9-drop chain, well, the Sinchenron chain in the aggro version? Was it helpful for the best of one, or best useful for the deck?
Yeah, it was really amazing for the deck. Before the tournament, I was considering taking it out and maybe upping the Rage Shenron count. I hadn't exactly tested the like pure aggro version with just the Rage, with like more copies of the 5-star ball. But I thought that it could be a pretty interesting idea, and I was looking to try and test it. But in the end, I ended up just keeping the 9-drop in because it's much better for best of one. It allows you much more flexible plays because you have more defensive and offensive capabilities.
Yeah, because the 4-drop is just handy. The fact that locking down a leader, even in aggro, gives you a 19k beat stick that can then block on your turn if you need it, or even just sack off to play the allies absorbed. But it's mainly the fact that it locks down your opponent's leader for a turn, which when you're not getting aggroed down to survive long against opposing aggro decks is really handy, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. The 4-drop was so amazing throughout the entire day. And also, if I ever drew the 9-drop and didn't find it so that it was going to be very good in the matchup, I could always just charge it or discard it if my opponent had some kind of discard effect.
Yeah,
or just Haze Shenron as well.
And like with the 9-drop, normally like for an aggro, I feel for the aggro version of best of 3, the 9-drop is something you want to side and not main deck, because if you're going for aggro, being a 10k one cost 10k combo is not great when you want to use your energy to make your like really cheap plays. And in best of 3, you can always side it in for decks where it's going to be useful, like against, as I imagine you felt with when playing in the last round against Brody Swap. But in best of 1, it's a good option to imagine main, because of the fact you can either charge it if you have it, be useful in matchups where it's actually useful, or combo with it as a net 10k, or put it back with the Krillin as well.
Yeah, it's really good in best of 1, especially because a lot of people tend to play much more aggressive decks in best of 1 to try and take you by surprise.
Yeah.
And it was perfect to try and stave off all of that aggression.
But with being a webcam event, did you enjoy the event itself?
Yeah, it was really good fun. I haven't played in any webcam events for probably about 6 months now, so it was really nice to actually be able to play with cards again. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I met some nice people and just had a good time.
That's the main thing you want to hear. That's the main thing you want to focus on the event as well, is enjoying yourself. But so we should probably call it there now, because it's been about over 2 hours. But first thing I want to do is shout out first off DBS Planet, which is where I got the screenshot of the deck for. Not DBS Planet, Deck Planet. It's the newest DBS deck building platform from Europe. Very good user face, very friendly, and a very amazing person behind the creation of it. So if you looking to build decks or just try things out, or even join the community, join the have a try with Deck Planet, and also join their Discord to get in on the conversation. And also, Ollie, where can the viewers all see you, find you? Because you've got a YouTube, right? BigONotation.
Yeah, my YouTube is on BigONotation. I'm going to be looking to record a Sinchenron deck profile straight after this, actually, where I go much more in depth with all of the different card choices and stuff.
That'd be interesting as well to see your view after, because after doing that well in the CardMarket, taking it XO as well, undefeated, would be interesting to see your take for people looking to build a deck. And also, I'll put a link to your channel down below, so anybody that doesn't want to watch, go straight over after you've uploaded that channel, they can do so in the comment box. And any shout outs you want to give, Ollie, before we sign off?
Yeah, shout out to the Scrub Squad exclusive group chat. Always supporting me always backing me in events, and shout out to you for lending me the Sinchenron deck.
Yeah, it's no problem. Anybody who wants to get in on the chat, always comment P down below with your name so we know it's you. If you don't get it, don't worry, it's an inside joke. But any other shout outs you want to give, Ollie?
Nah, I don't think so.
Right, so we're going to cut off there, but thanks for watching, everybody. Stay tuned for the next episode next weekend. We might have some more news and stuff going over. But thanks for watching. It's been a long 2 hours, but that is all now. The spoilers for set 13 and coverage of the CardMarket event. So thank you for watching. Have a nice evening and see you in the next one. Bye now.